start there. Tonight's Woke Lightning Round with the author of the upcoming book, Woke, Inc., our cancel culture guru, Vivek Ramaswamy. Great to have you back.
Good to see you, Shannon.
So listen, he said, everybody is after you. You can't say anything. You have to worry about getting fired. And frankly, I'm sure he doesn't need the money or the job. And he says, I'm out of here pretty soon because this is sucking all the joy out of this. We hear this from comedians and other people, too, who say they have to be so careful. They can't even be funny anymore.
Well, Charles Barkley's a funny guy, and the problem, Shannon, is that being woke and being funny just don't go together. They just don't mix. And the sad thing about it, actually, is that even though being woke and being politically correct is supposedly about bringing us closer together, I actually think humor brings us together much better, even if that means laughing at ourselves, even if that means laughing at our friends in a good-spirited way from time to time. That's actually what brings us together more than being woke, distanced, and politically correct. So I think Charles Barkley's totally right, but I think he's putting his finger on an even more important issue that goes beyond the jokes.
Yeah, and he is very funny, I think. He's just kind of irreverent. Yeah. And like you said, I don't think he takes himself seriously. He makes fun of his gut and his golf swing and everything else. And so we have to be able to laugh at ourselves if it is in good nature. And I think oftentimes it is with him. I'm not, tracking his every word, but I get what he's saying. Okay, so this story now, this is interesting. A group of parents in Florida decided to send the masks off that they were wearing, their kids were wearing, I think there was one adult mask in the study as well, to a lab at the University of Florida because they wanted to see what was on the kids' masks. I can't pronounce any of these words, but we're going to put them up on screen. It's all kinds of different weird stuff that was found on the mask. I mean, things including, things that would trigger pneumonia and meningitis and sepsis and food poisoning, all kinds of other things. See, there are way too many syllables in all these words that are up on the screen right now. But here's what I thought was interesting about that. I thought, okay, the mask study is interesting. We've been warned by experts the whole time, don't touch them too much. You're going to make them dirty, whatever, it's gross. But one guy, he said the article that was written, the local article there, when he saw it on Facebook, it was tagged with this disclaimer, according to him, that Facebook had put this note that says, this post goes against our community standards on misinformation that could cause physical harm. And the author of the article said, so now we are calling factual data from a lab actually misinformation about COVID. I mean, how do we untangle this whole thing? Where are we on this tonight?
Well, first, let's just talk about the substance of it. Most of the pathogens you talked about there are bacteria. And I could not think of a worse way to put children at risk in normal times than to get a closed, moist space near their mouth and their nose. And it should be no surprise that that actually raises some risk of getting people sick. Now, there was a time in the pandemic for masks around last year. That moment has since passed, especially for people who have been vaccinated. And so for someone to be both pro-vax and anti-mask right now is totally coherent. And in fact, I think that's where a lot of the science points us. But the second bit I actually wasn't aware about, Shannon, that is offensive to me, that Facebook would take a scientifically conducted study, even if it is in a case study in just conducted by one lab, by one set of parents, to tag that as misinformation. I mean, these arbiters of so-called truth have been wrong so many times over the course of the last year that actually one of the greatest impediments to the pursuit of truth has actually been these social media giants themselves. And no place more than, of course, right now in recent weeks, as it goes to the origin of the virus. 6 months ago, you could have said that the virus originated in a lab and they would have tagged it as misinformation and taken it down. Now that is now the dominant explanation, in my opinion, for the origin of this virus. And these guys ultimately need to be held accountable for not only their threat to democracy, but even their threat to science and the pursuit of truth itself.
Yeah, Eric Hartman is the guy on Twitter who flagged what he says was that label from Facebook. So we'd love to hear from them about that. Okay, third, let's talk about NASA wokeness. They have announced this new plan called Mission Equity. They say that the agency is seeking public feedback as it conducts a thorough review of its programs, practices, and policies to assess. One of the bullet points that says how agency resources and tools can assist in enhancing equity, including advancing environmental justice. A lot of folks looking at this and saying, NASA has a very specific mission. And listen, if this is about opening up science and opportunity to people who maybe have not felt they had a track there at NASA before, I think we'd all say that's a laudable goal. But what do you make of this?
Well, look, Shannon, I think we need to revive a movement in this country that puts excellence first. Excellence in space exploration, excellence in math, excellence in science, excellence in medicine, excellence in sports, excellence in music. I think we need to start putting excellence first again. And in my opinion, diversity can be an important part, an important means of the end towards achieving excellence. But personally, if I had to choose between the pursuit of excellence and the pursuit of a visible tableau of diversity in any of those domains, I will choose excellence every time. And I think not enough people are really bold enough to be able to say that openly, even though many Americans harbor it within. And for me, I don't want to see China landing on Mars, teaching their kids math, while here we're worrying about creating a visible tableau of diversity in each of our institutions. We need to put excellence first and recognize that diversity is a means towards achieving that end, but it is not an end in itself. Diversity is not something we seek to be excellent at. It is just something that we try to do as a way of becoming even more excellent as a country.
Yeah, and I think as part of that conversation, you and I probably agree that diversity of thought and ideology would be a beautiful thing to see in our campuses and our workplaces and everything else, too. Vivek, always great to have you with us. Come back soon.
Good to see you, Shannon.